Hi, I'm Aldo. Welcome to Plays the Thing, the channel where I share my experiences prepping and playing tabletop role-playing games. In my last video, I talked about our first session exploring the vault in the Scarred Lands. Today, I want to share what happened in our second session when 3 new players joined the game and character relationships took center stage. So our second session began with a logistical challenge that we're pretty used to handling, and that's how do you integrate 3 new players into an ongoing adventure? As a reminder, the 3 new characters were Roman, a half-orc fighter played by Mario, Ingwin, his loyal guard played by Jen, and Vex, a rogue with mysterious connections. Now the key is that Roman wasn't just any new character, he was the son of Tharzug, the orc warlord who rules the lands near Redmarch. And as I'd established in character creation, he and Theron had a shared history. So when we opened the session, Roman was actively tracking Theron. This is something that Mario brought to the table. He knew she operated in this area, and he'd followed her trail to the vault's site. This gave us a natural reason for the new characters to arrive exactly where the story was happening. It also meant that when they met, it wasn't just, hello stranger, it was a reunion. These two had grown up together as children before the political situation tore their families apart. The conversation was somewhat awkward. How's your dad? Well, I'm kind of out of sorts with him. How goes the resistance? You could feel the tension between the personal connection and political reality. Roman was clearly interested in exploring the possibility of joining the resistance against his own father, but things were complicated. Then Vex dropped a bombshell. He'd been a guard for Theron's father, Lord Orsiniya, and he had news. He outed Theron as nobility to the other characters. The other characters knew she was a resistance leader, but they didn't know her noble origins. Then came the devastating news. Her surviving brothers were dead, and her father needed her for some crucial plan. This is exactly the kind of character-driven drama that makes tabletop gaming special. We weren't just adding new players to the party, we were exploring complex relationships with real emotional weight, and I didn't bring this to the table. This is something that the players all introduced on their own. It was great. Finally, when that conversation wound down, Theron said, fine, but we're here now. We need to explore what's here, and then we'll talk about my father. And so the party continued into the vault. After all, whatever was in the vault might help in the resistance. By this point, I'd had time to map out the facility properly. There was a grand entrance chamber with halls leading left and right to laboratories and barracks and storage areas. And they started exploring, and they actually quickly found what they'd come looking for in one of the laboratories, the gauntlets of the Embered hand. Now, here things got interesting again. Roman immediately claimed them. He put them on, felt a surge of power, and then had to make a saving throw to resist being overcome by anger. He made the save and wisely took them off, but then the party had to decide, should he keep them? And this is where the gauntlets became a catalyst for revealing character dynamics. Theron, who had grown up with Roman, said he could have them, but Shalith was furious. From her perspective, Roman was a newcomer they just met. He was half-orc in a campaign against orcs, and here, Theron was just giving away the treasure they'd all risked their necks to find. She felt betrayed by what looked like favoritism based on old connections, and she actually threatened to leave the party. In fact, she did. She stormed out with the intention of leaving. And you had this moment where the group was genuinely fracturing over questions of trust, loyalty, and who deserved what. And it was all character drama. It wasn't player drama. These were folks who were playing their characters as they designed them, not actually fighting over magic items and things like that. Now, Roman, seeing the chaos he'd caused, made a character-defining choice. He said, this is causing too much harm. I'm not sure I should wield these things anyway. And he gave the gauntlets back to Theron and stepped away from the conflict. This wasn't about the mechanical power of the magic item. It was about what the item revealed about the characters and their relationships. The gauntlets forced quick decisions about trust and worthiness, and Roman's choice to prioritize group harmony over personal power showed real character growth, or if not growth, at least revealed an aspect of his character. Shalith came back with terms. Fine, she said, I'll stay, but we, pointing at her and Theron, need to be loyal to one another. We agreed to come here together, so we're loyal to one another. The group at that point had to negotiate what their relationships actually meant. And with some measure of tension, they continued to explore. It was shortly after that that they went into one of the other side rooms and found some ghouls that were kind of stuck in a storage facility. Again, several party members went down in this fight, but nobody died. And again, that's where the session ended. We seem to be ending these at the end of a combat, not planned that way. It's just the way that it's turned out so far. So that was the end of our second session. And here's one thing that I really enjoyed about it. You know, sometimes when we establish character connections and stuff like that, it just seems like it's kind of like flavor. But here they really served their best purpose, which is creating a situation where there was meaningful conflict. The Roman-Theron relationship immediately generated drama because their personal bond conflicted with the political situation. And Vex's connection to Theron's family brought urgent external pressure to the situation. And when we're lucky, when you find a good pressure point, like a powerful magic item with its costs, it doesn't break your party, it reveals what your party is made of. You discover what the characters are all about. The gauntlets weren't the story, they were the tool that made the real situation visible. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's magic. Okay, well, thank you for tuning in. Next time, I'll tell you about our third session where the party went deeper into the vault and met its mad master. So make sure to tune in if you're interested in how that went down. In the meantime, as always, I wish you good health. I wish you good cheer. I wish you good gaming. Goodbye.